What's going on?
I need a transfusion from you.
A blood transfusion?
Yeah, I've got a kid in there.
You're joking.
No.
Daniel, I'm not going to give you my blood. What are you up to here, though?
I'll tell you later.
No, tell me now.
I don't have time to tell you now.
And yet you want me to give my blood...
Will you do what he tells you?
What I was looking for was a character who's conflicted. I think that always makes the best drama. I mean, every actor will tell you that. If you can find a character that has lots of light and shade, they're always the best. And Daniel is morally and ethically compromised for the whole of the first season. But we thought that the way that you can keep people, you know, interested in him without losing sympathy for him, because in a way you need to be on his side, is to make the bedrock of the reason that he's doing all of this stuff the fact that he's trying to save his dying wife. So the whole thing is happening for love. And it's just that he's the kind of guy that in order to leap hurdles, which is what surgeons do whenever they come across a problem, you can't panic. You just have to kind of deal with that problem and move on to the next problem and then deal with that problem. And that's essentially what Daniel does during the series. So we found a character that I really wanted to play that was conflicted and interesting. And Liza, my wife, found a show that I think that she really wanted to make, because at its core, it's a love story.
West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road.
Matthew I got to know because basically I'd done a TV show over here in the UK called The Long Firm, in which I played a kind of 1960s gangster. And Guy Ritchie had seen it and wanted to put me in one of his movies. And he and Guy and Matthew were partners. You know, they made Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch and all this stuff together. But Guy decided that he wanted me in his movies. And I think Matthew probably took a look and thought, I want him in my movies as well, when Matthew started to become a director. And we just got on, you know. And I think also when you know the dance with a director, you know what I mean? When you know each other so well that you don't have to spend a lot of time like worrying about what you're saying, how you're saying it, whether someone's going to understand what it is you're trying to say. When you have the dance, you know the moves with each other. It just makes the whole process so much simpler. And I found working with Matthew to be really easy, and I think he felt the same.
Corporal, if you do manage to get to Colonel Mackenzie, make sure there are witnesses.
They are direct orders, sir.
I know. But some men just want the fight.
Thank you, sir.
I did a couple of plays with Sam when he was running a theatre called the Donmar Warehouse in London back in the sort of early 2000s. And we did Uncle Vanya and Twelfth Night together, and we took it over to New York and we played it at BAM. And so I knew him from that time. And when he basically called me and said, look, I've got this part in this film that I'm doing. It's not a big part, but there's a bunch of other guys in it. They don't have big parts either. It's really about these two young boys. But I think you'd really suit the part. I didn't hesitate for a second. I mean, I've always loved working with Sam. He's such a meticulous director who creates such a lovely atmosphere on set. There's never any panic. It's always very well controlled. And I went to go and do 1917, not really knowing what it was going to be like. All I knew was that I had two scenes, and those scenes were going to be played in real time. They were actually, I think, a month apart. One was in Wiltshire in the countryside and one was up in Glasgow. And it was a one-shot deal. I mean, you rehearsed a little sequence and then you carried on rehearsing it until you felt you had it. And then you shot it a few times. And once you had it, there were no close-ups. There was no cutting in. There was no changing lenses. That was it. And so it's the quickest, easiest job I think I've ever had, but one of which I'm the most proud, because I thought that film was extraordinary.
When was the last time you felt this nervous about a league game?
I don't know. 1971, I should think.
2 home wins, could be champions Tuesday night, imagine. What are we going to do?
Drink, I expect.
Yeah, I can't think about it in bed at night, otherwise I can't sleep.
So I'm not a rabid fan, but I certainly follow that team. And when I was asked to come in for an audition, And I'd read Fever Pitch. Fever Pitch is really the diary of a football fanatic, but I knew that Nick Hornby was a fervent Arsenal supporter. I couldn't believe it. You know, I went in, and not only did I go in, I let them know that I was an Arsenal fan. And I realised that every actor had been in had said, yeah, I'm an Arsenal supporter. Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan, because everybody wanted the job. I went back for a recall and I took a photograph of myself in my mum's back garden with me in the football kit, you know, doing a throw-in with the ball. And then discovered that that's not dissimilar to the cover of the paperback of Fever Pitch. It's a young boy about the age that I was wearing his Arsenal kit. Anyway, that swung it for me, and I got to do the film, and it was like art and life meeting. So my private life, if you like, my hobby and love of Arsenal met my work life, and that was the first time I think I worked with Colin. We got on really well. It was ironic. They asked us to go to football matches and take a camera with us. Now nobody thinks anything of taking a selfie, but we didn't have mobile phones when that film was made. So we were trying to take a selfie with a little Kodak Instamatic camera. This is in a football ground surrounded by loads of men, looking at these two guys with their arms around each other, trying to take a photograph of themselves. It wasn't easy, but we did get to go to about 5 or 6 games for free for research. You know, and that's kind of the best research that I think I've probably ever had to do.
Playtime's over, kid.
I never play.
Oh, really?
I played a character called Frank D'Amico in Kick-Ass. That was such a wild film and unexpected, and that part was so unexpected. I really enjoyed playing that guy, even though he's kind of a scumbag. But it was great fun. But somebody did say to me, you've got to be careful, you know, if you play too many bad guys, you'll only ever get seen as a bad guy. And I thought, well, they're all interesting characters. You know, they were great fun to play. And I played Frank D'Amico in Kick-Ass. I played, I think it was Godfrey in Robin Hood, the Russell Crowe one that Ridley directed. And I played, I think, Sherlock Holmes. I played Lord Blackwood in Sherlock Holmes. I think those 3 movies all happened within the same year. Now, I know they're all bad guys, but they're 3 incredibly interesting characters to play. So I never thought of them as bad guys. I only looked and thought, are they interesting characters? That, first and foremost, was the thing for me. So I never worried about getting typecast, for example. I just thought, I'm going to keep playing these interesting guys. And then sure enough, a part came along where I was cast as what everybody thought was the bad guy, but actually I was the good guy. So it started to work the other way around.
There's nowhere to hide. I got an idea.
Oh, great.
Because your ideas have netted nothing but gold up to this point.
You're gonna follow me and you're gonna do exactly what your big brother says.
Hurry!
Come on.
He's like a ballistic missile for comedy. He's always looking for the gag, the joke, the thing that will make people laugh. And he's very scientific about it and very meticulous. And actually, when you work with him on set, there's a hell of a lot of improvising. We'd spend hours and hours and hours improvising, and we shot, you know, loads and loads of footage, which never made it into the movie. And I was surprised at how specific and meticulous he was. I remember there was one point he had to grab my underpants and pull them up to surprise me. And he realized that I was wearing Calvins, I think. And he went, hang on, do you think your guy would wear Calvins? Do you think he would? And he was literally, because I think when he, and then he told me a story about Borat and said when he played Borat, he didn't wash. He was a bit smelly. I mean, you can't tell that on the film, but he was so deep sort of undercover that it meant he was very, very meticulous about everything that was done in the movie. But I enjoyed that. And I thought, yeah, he was great fun and worked really hard.
Did you see?
Yes. Everything. I'm sorry I didn't believe you, son.
We're together now. That's all that matters.
The transformation was really interesting, and it was something unusual and different. And also it was directed by the same chap who directed Grimsby. So he was a friend, and we'd been in the trenches together doing that movie. So when he asked me to come and do it, I didn't hesitate. But I just liked the idea of doing the voice and it being a little Gelflin.
This is the human. When I learned Abin Sur's ring had chosen you, I said there had to be a mistake. see nothing to change my mind.
My interest in that part was, can we really deliver the guy from the comics onto film? Because he looks so extraordinary in the comics. He's got this big red head, he's got this widow's peak of hair, you know, these eyebrows, little pencil thin moustache. And I was just intrigued as to whether we could really recreate that on film, that look. And that was about 4 hours in makeup, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it's the old sort. You need a jack point.
Do I?
Yeah, it's more versatile. You can unplug your phone, stick an adapter in it. Could even have an answering machine.
Oh, I'll order one straight away then.
Smart girl like you, I'm surprised you haven't got one already.
Oh, what, to go with my personal organiser and Porsche?
Yeah, I think it was the first thing I ever did on camera, to be honest. And somebody just rediscovered it recently. It wasn't out there and I'd completely forgotten about it. I think what I had back then was a fantastic lack of concern for the artifice of filming. So I just played it like it was completely real. I didn't probably even know where the camera was. You know, whereas over the years I've built up an understanding of how the camera works and how you can use the camera and how lenses work and how different size lenses require different kinds of acting and or performance size. Whereas back then I was just like doing it like a play because I was involved in the theatre at the time. So I was very natural. I suppose if I look back, I might give myself a bit of advice about how the camera works and where it is and just be aware of that and yeah, craft a performance knowing that.
For 7 years, I spoke with God. He told me to take us all to heaven.
I remember being in the makeup chair for over 8 hours. That's what I remember. Getting picked up at 3 o'clock in the morning, traveling across London, getting in a makeup chair at around 4, and then being meticulously, painted with burn. I had to look like a Burns victim, basically. I played a character called Pinbacker, who was the captain of the first ship that had gone up to the sun, and he got too near the sun and got badly burnt. So I used to basically put all of that makeup, have that put on me until lunchtime. They'd shoot something else in the morning, and I would do my scenes in the afternoon. And when everybody was saying goodbye at the end, I'd still have an hour and a half, 2 hours to get all of this stuff off. So it was really, it took a long time in makeup, but I thought the effect was amazing. I thought it looked incredible. And I really wanted to have a go at playing a part like that. Because I know Danny, because I'd done a play with him and I'd done a television thing with him. And he said, I want you to come and be in the movie. He said, I don't know what you can play. And I said, I'd like to play that part. And he was never intending to cast an actor as such to play that. But I just wanted to, I wondered if I could transform that much. Because again, that's what I enjoy about acting. If I can effect some kind of transformation, that's the bit that's interesting for me.